Math 140. Here's the part 2 video for analyzing your data. We've seen 2 other videos this week. The first one was about getting a data set. The second one was about the basic analysis. And the third one here is going to be about making the graphs. I want to make sure that you understand all those parts so that by the end of the week, I can get a homework with the 3 parts all put together. Data, analysis, and some graphs. So let's check out what I'm looking for when I'm talking about. Make sure that everybody understands what I'm looking for in terms of the graphs. So you can see this data set here. Anna submitted this one, thank you, and I will solve it using her data, and hopefully everybody can apply it to their own data set. So you see that I have a spreadsheet here with 3 different tabs. The first has the data. I should have gotten that from most of you. A couple of you that still have not got that in, please make sure that finds its way to me. The second one, I put the questions here. You can organize it however you'd like, but I think it's nice to have the data on one, the questions on the other. Last video I went over solving. And then the third one, nice and blank. Here's some other graphs. I think this was from Jessica's data set, but let's make sure you understand. You understand how we make these. So I will make these for Anna's data set here. So the first one was a bar graph. And the bar graph is going to work best when you have qualitative data. It's possible to do it other ways. I'm going to do it with the qualitative. When I say qualitative, what do I mean? Qualitative data is not a number. It'd be something like the gender here or the birth rate data here. Neither of those are neither of those have numbers. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say let's take all of these, the data set here, this qualitative data set, and I need to figure out how many are men and how many are women. Well, it's kind of hard to do when they're all scrambled together. So you see how I highlighted it, and go way over here in Excel. There's sort and filter. I can sort A to Z, Z to A. It doesn't really matter. Expand it. Yep, that's fine. And you'll see what it does. It put all the men together, so it's a lot easier for me to count, and it put all the women together. Once again, easier for me to count. So I can look real at a glance. I highlight all the men, and actually on my Excel, go down here, and it says 15. I highlight all the women. You could count them one by one. If I go down to my Excel, it says 15. Well, what do you know? So now I go over to the sheet I want to do the graphs, and I have to type it in, but that shouldn't be too bad. So I can type the women, I can type men, and we counted both of those. Go sideways from that. Women, there was 15. We counted the men, there's 15. Now it's easy. I can highlight all of that, go up to insert, all sorts of graphs here. And remember, I was doing a column, a bar chart, a histogram, so many different names for it. I click that, and it's got my data right here. Now this is a fairly boring graph, just two values. They're exactly the same, but really the main thing is the method. If you can get through that method, hopefully that'll get you in the right place. And the very last thing is, another reason this graph is quote unquote boring is there's no title, there's no nothing like that. If you are working on the graph, you'll see this little box up here, chart tools. So you can hit layout, and they give you all these little options to create some titles for my graph, things like this. I'll let you play with that, figure out how to design your graph as best you want, but this is the general method to make a bar chart, a histogram for your data. Part 2. Part 2, I was talking about, or the second graph rather, I was talking about making a pie chart. Pie chart, I tend to believe, and you can do it differently, works good with the quantitative number data. So we could do something similar. So I'm looking here at adult literacy rate. The problem is if I have a quantitative pie chart, once again, these numbers are all scrambled. So I'm going to do like before. I highlighted them all. I go over here to sort and filter. Smallest to largest, largest to smallest. Yeah, I'll go smallest. And it does it nice and neat for me. It says here's the smallest value all the way up to the largest value. Now, how does this help me make a pie chart? Well, what I can do is I can group these numbers. I can say, okay, these are the numbers that are less than 50. Why did I pick 50? That's an individual choice. You're going to select it on your own. I say these numbers are less than 50. I say these numbers are between 50 and 70. These numbers are 70 and 80, and these numbers are greater than 80. However you want to slice it up, that's up to you. But you do need to organize, sort the quantitative data, and then figure out on your own how to break it up. So let me do this. I will do one that's less than 50. I'll do one between 50 and 60, 60 and 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90. Hey, you can see what's going on here. So here are my groups. Here is the data that I have sorted. And now I just got to do a small bit of legwork. I got to count. So how many are less than 50? You see what I'm going to end up doing here. So I go down here. Excel counts it for me. This is 4. Oh, I missed one. Hey, I got them all. Excel tells me there's 5. I'll try to do a couple. 5, 3, 6. All right, I can memorize those in one set. So that's 5, 3, and 6. Let's see if I can get the last couple. And then we got in the 70s, we have 8, 3, and 5. 8, 3, and 5. I think we got it. Highlight everything right here. Insert on top all these different charts, but this time we're looking for a pie chart. Hey, let's go. Let's live big. Let's live large. Let's make a 3D one. I got a nice little graph right here, nice and colorful. Got some different groups. Up top on layout, I can put a title. I can do all sorts of crazy stuff. I think this was literacy. I'm misspelling, but you get the idea. I'm not going to be perfect. That's your job on the submissions. So if you get me by the end of the week, if you get me a spreadsheet that looks like this, data, questions, that was video 2, and some graphs, we're in good shape. So work on that, get that submitted to Blackboard, and if you got questions, shoot me an email and we'll discuss.